Hello, everyone. A very warm welcome to another exciting episode of Psychology Talks. And today we're going to talk about how to create social impact, and that is through innovation. A lot of people link or association with corporate world and just to maybe like with some technology, but you can actually create social impact through innovation, and that is very tricky. You may be thinking that what exactly you can do with innovation and social impact. So that's why I have invited our guest today who is creating a huge social impact through innovation. And how he does it, he's going to share his secret in today's show. And you will learn that how you can create social impact by innovating. So today's guest is Carlos Sentis. He is a change maker and he's creating change in the world by introducing innovation. Carlos is a social entrepreneur, consultant, and lecturer on impact innovation, education, communication, social impact, international relations with 14 years of working experience. He is the founder and CEO of World Innovation Alliance, board member of International Development and Global Innovation Fund at World Humanitarian Forum, presidential advisor in the Organization of Young Entrepreneurs of European Union, vice president of Impact Innovation of Ariel Foundation, advisor at CKGSP Business School at China Start Program, board member of European North Africa Research Center, honorary advisor at some NGO in India, and so many more. Like if I go on, I think it will take another like 10 minutes to give a proper introduction. So let's welcome Carlos. Hello, Carlos. Thank you so much for joining us. It's an honor to have you with us.
Hello, Emily. Thank you so much for the invitation. It's wonderful to be here.
Yeah, thank you. And I've been going through your work, and it is so impressive. I mean, the way you are creating change in the world is amazing. So, just before we get into the discussion about how you are creating this phenomenal change, just give us a little bit of introduction. I gave a little bit of introduction to the audience today, but I know, like, you have been doing so much that if I give the complete introduction, it would take like 10 more minutes to give a proper introduction. So please tell us a little bit about yourself, that and I would like you to share some of like your personal life starting from your childhood, and then take you through that what actually got you in this where you are today.
Well, thank you again for the invitation. It is wonderful to be here. I have not been able to accomplish or do much yet, but I am hoping to be as useful as possible to society as a whole. And for that, I am grateful and lucky to work with a lot of wonderful people from all over the world. And I am also very grateful to you for the invitation, for sharing this platform. And I think that people like you are really shedding the light on the importance of working for social good, and the importance also of connecting people from different cultures and different countries that can share so much and that can learn from each other. So wonderful to be here. And regarding my experience or how I got into the work that I'm doing right now, it all started when I realized, I think it was around 18 years old, how extremely lucky I was. I was lucky to be safe, to be healthy, to live in a wonderful house with an incredible family that was supportive and caring and that was generous and always gave me the freedom that I needed and always gave me the confidence that I needed. And living in Spain, in the European Union, with healthcare, with education, with pretty much anything. And what happened was that I started working in a newspaper, working on international relations. And I started seeing some of the problems in the world, some of the conflict and terrorism and violence and injustice. And I found out how extremely impotent I felt, how little I was able to do from the position that I had at that time. And I also thought that it had to be something that I actually used for social change, right? So I got all these information. I understood more or less what was happening, but I needed to do something about it. And for many years, I started working on trying to improve myself to get to a position in which I was able to help others, because I also realized that I didn't have any experience or skills or network. And for many years, I've been trying to develop skills and trying to develop my network and trying to be as useful as possible, quite honestly, where I thought in the beginning that I was not able to do much. And a few years ago, I, I pretty much discovered that I was never going to be ready. I was never going to be in the perfect situation to go and launch this social impact initiative that I wanted from the beginning. So I said, you know what, we're going to start. It's going to be a very difficult journey. We don't have a lot of support, but we're going to start nonetheless. And 4 years ago, I started creating this World Innovation Alliance that is this network of companies, institutions, and remarkable individuals and experts from 150 different countries that are working to find and apply specific scalable solutions for problems in healthcare, environment, human rights. And the main idea is that there's millions of people all over the world that really want to be a part of the solution, but they don't know what they can do or how to do it. And we want to leverage that potential. We also see a lot of opportunities of improving the state of the world, improving the situation for people in underdeveloped countries, to improving the lives of those that are suffering for whatever injustice. And we just want to make sure that if there are solutions that can be implemented, we're going to advocate for those solutions and try to implement them. And if we don't find solutions, we're going to try to design them together, thinking creatively what could be a better way to do things so we can improve the situation.
Yeah, what an amazing, I mean, your work is so amazing because a lot of people are here in this world suffering in a way or so, but they don't know what to do. But I think people like you give them the hope to actually bring about the change in their lives and in the society. So your work is literally phenomenal. The way you're doing it's amazing. So like it's about I've been going through your profile and seeing like you bring the social impact through innovation, right? And as I actually was giving the introduction, that innovation is usually linked with some technology or some like with corporate environment. So how basically you bring the change through innovation? What exactly is innovation in the social impact environment?
Well, thank you very much for that question. It is a very important distinction. Of course, there is a space for corporate innovation and innovating the way you build your products or you deliver customer experience. But what we mean by innovation for social impact is creating new ways of improving the situation, hopefully in a way that benefits all the stakeholders involved. So normally you would say that you can either work to make money or work to help others, right? And there's this distinction between the for and the non-for-profit, the charities, the philanthropy, for those that are already rich or those that are so altruistic that they don't care about money anymore, and the other part, people that just care about money, they want to have a good job, good salary, or just to make a lot of money with their business. The reality is that every single person in the world has the need for money because we need economic systems. We need to be able to sustain our families and to hopefully enjoy some of the positive things that exist in life, right? So money is going to be important. Secondly, we all need well-being. We all need health. We all need to have a healthy, not only habit in our own life, but also hopefully healthy families around us. Because if our family is not healthy, everything falls apart. So it doesn't matter how much money you're making if health is not there. But then there's a third element that I believe every single person in the world needs at some point. And that is this willingness that we have to create something that helps others. And that's why we feel so good when we're helping others, when we're being useful to others, right? And that is something that we need as animals to be part of a tribe that is going to protect us and help us. If we don't do anything for the others, they are not going to embrace us in the same way. And that is something that I believe is built in biologically, but it has very real effects in how people tend to do acts of kindness and help others and engage in social impact. And that is why it's becoming more and more powerful to be connected to this idea, because people realize that if they can, then they want to do it. In the past, we didn't know it was possible, but now it feels that it's possible. So with this frame, what's happening is that people are realizing that they also want to make impact. They think still that it has to be disconnected from their job. And what I believe is that the best possible way forward is where we bring together impact and economic development, because in that way we can focus our entire attention, all of our resources, our brains, our minds, our friends, everything that we have, we can put it into that path where we're helping others and also guaranteeing our own survival and prosperity. So first of all, innovation in social impact is innovating about the whole idea about what it means, both economic development as a whole, what it means careers, what it means a job, but also what does it mean to help others. And when you think about that in that particular lens, then there's a million opportunities that arise, because then suddenly you can say, oh, I can make a living out of helping others. What are ways to do that? For that, we're putting together a list of social entrepreneurship models. So that would be, what kind of startup can you build? What kind of job can you work on that can help others and be something profitable for you at the same time? That is innovation in the sense that we're going to go for profit social impact, or doing well by doing good, and that it changes radically the way things have been so far. And to be honest, some people, some corporations, some foundations, some grants, some government opportunities are only reserved for the pure non-for-profit. But I think that that is not going to last for long. So my belief is that the first thing that we need to do is to reframe everything, reframe our own lives. We can indeed be useful from the beginning of our careers. It doesn't make sense to work for 40 years in the corporate space in things that we may not like, so we get to a point in which we can help others. I believe it is much better if you can focus your entire life, all your creativity and your energy, especially when you're young, to put that to good use. Right? So that's the first thing. The second thing is, since there's a lot of new challenges and there's crises in different spaces, every single problem and every single crisis is an opportunity for you to do something valuable. And when you do something valuable, it is possible that there is economic exchange in that space. But even if there's no economic exchange, the amount of growth that you can generate for yourself and the opportunities that you can create for the future, just by engaging in things that you care deeply about, that is also very important. So thinking about what it means to work and what it means to live and what it means to give and what it means to be the best possible version of yourself, that is fundamentally innovative in the framing. So that's thing number one. The thing number two is, of course, that there's all these new spaces that are existing right now because of the convergence of new technologies. Every single new technology creates new potential jobs, new potential skills. And if we are able to embrace that, then we can create new jobs, which is positive. And it's definitely social impact that we have to foster. But also, those are opportunities for innovation where you can think of, what can I be doing in the future? If some jobs are going to be disrupted, but there's new spaces that I can occupy, then that kind of innovation is going to allow you to do impact or at least find economic prosperity. And then the third part is, not only technological convergence is going to disrupt every industry or generate some spaces of opportunity, the reality is that technology itself is extremely valuable to reach more people. There's countless examples of what technology is doing or can do to solve problems. And I'm going to mention a few. First of all, if you're aware of AlphaFold from DeepMind, is a new model that has been able to pretty much predict all the different possibilities of the ways proteins fold. And the reason why that's important is because that is a problem that has been around for decades, and that was limiting our ability to do research and to actually find cure for specific diseases, for example. And now with that open source and that's that library that is open for anyone, thanks to artificial intelligence, we're going to be able to find cures for diseases way faster. One of the most amazing stats that are emerging from this generative AI revolution, the CEO of OpenAI, Sam Altman, just said that it is expected that the scientific output per year is going to increase 1,000 times in the coming years. And that means that if you had several papers on specific diseases per year, you're going to have 1,000 times more opportunities of solutions for specific health problems or whatever other problems have to do with scientific output, which are, for example, climate change or a number of others, right? So that is extremely, extremely positive. But things like what AI is doing for education, there are tools that are allowing people without any mentor or teacher, just with one device, without access to the internet, just with a software installed on it, to help people that are not able to read or write, they become literate through a process that is automated with an AI that is learning from them and personalized. It's providing a personalized resource for the learner, so people can become literate. And there's so many examples that I could speak about this for a very long time. But I think just to clarify, both technology and non-technological solutions can be innovative if you're just changing the way you do things. How do you do what you do? Innovation is pretty much looking at new ways of improving the situation. And of course, if you have the support from the corporate space, great. If you have technologies, great. But just thinking about what you as an individual can do to be useful to your community, for example, mentoring people in need, or just creating some sort of program where you deliver food that is leftover and you give it to people in need, just by thinking about the things that you can do to help the elderly in your community, you are already innovating because it's something that is a new idea for you, or it's a new way of doing it, and it's definitely going to be extremely useful for the world.
Yeah, what an amazing initiative, actually. Because what I feel is that what you're doing is like bringing all those, seeing, first of all, the opportunities in midst of all these challenges, the problems that and then solving this and creating the problem and bringing all those people together to solve the problem. And it's what I see is what I understood from your whatever you shared this. It's basically not only just doing it voluntarily, it's just making a living out of it, and so everybody can get benefit out of it. So that's an amazing way to actually solve the problem and move about it. And the thing is that the way we've been changing the way we actually see the problem, that is where we can innovate, and then we can create social impact. So that's, I think, the brilliant way to solve the problem globally and create an impact in much larger way. So now moving back to your organization, there's the World Innovation Alliance. Okay, so like you mentioned that how we can create these innovation to bring about the social change. So what exactly you are doing at the World Alliance Innovation to bring about the change?
Well, we're pretty much trying to figure out a way to solve the basic problem that we see, that is the problem-solving problem, which is
Okay.
how do we tackle problems, right? And I think that is a huge issue, both inside organizations and individuals has it as well. We have lots of problems. We have problems both in health or education and economic development. In our organizations, we have management problems and resource allocation problems. Our governments have all sorts of problems, regulation issues. There's a number of problems across the board, crises that are affecting us all. So the issue is that there's lots of problems, and we normally don't see problems as something that we shall break down into pieces and put all our effort into organizing ourselves to go and solving them. What happens is that there's specific departments for specific things, and they do their thing, right? They do their whatever responsibility they have, and they are not actually focused on the bigger picture of the bigger problem that their department has, their division has, their company has, or their community has. So someone has to look at the problems that exist, as for example the United Nations does very well, looking at the Sustainable Development Goals, and you see, okay, all these goals that we have, these 169 targets are important. How do we push the envelope? How can we bring people together to go and try to improve the situation and get to those goals, right? Even if we don't reach them, at least having the framework is important. But again, I don't see anyone that is really focused on tackling that particular issues. How do we organize ourselves to go and solve problems? So we're doing a number of things. And the pretty, I would say the single most important thing is precisely trying to coordinate efforts. We're trying to bring together the best experts we can on a number of different commissions, so technology commission, healthcare, education, environment, public sector, security, bringing together experts that are both working in international organizations, working in government, working in big companies, but also startups, impact makers, professors, technology experts. We're bringing together these people to try to identify what are the biggest problems that are affecting the largest number of people in the most negative way, and what are the most solvable of all of those problems, and what could potentially be solutions that could address this issue drastically. It may not be perfect, but what is the closest to the solution that we can agree on that could be the most useful for this particular issue? There's things that we may not agree with, agree on, but what are the things that we may be, in the same page, and we can actually move forward together. So first, bring together the experts, try to assess the situation, assess the problems, define priorities in all these areas, and then compile the solutions that already exist. Best practices, policy proposals, specific action plans that have been taken already, specific projects that exist, technologies that already exist, and then bring those together and advocate for them as loud as we can in every possible event, in every possible board meeting, in every possible scenario. We try to present the solutions to the people that have the positions of power that could use their resources to go and implement these solutions and help as many people as possible. Because if we don't influence positively influential leaders of large organizations, our impact is going to be contained. But we can try in a very specific space a solution. We can do a pilot. And when we see the results are good, then we can advocate to a specific leader that could have a greater reach, right? So we definitely want to work local and in very controlled tests, but then we want to advocate to the highest level possible in as many places as possible, right? So we assess the situation, we look for solutions, we advocate for the solutions, we try to implement as many as we can. And across the board, what we're doing, all of our network, is constantly training people, advising organizations. What we're doing is trying to mentor as many people as we can. And that can be from students all over the world to people that are representatives of large government institutions or large companies, trying to share these solutions and trying to connect it with their own interest. In that way, they have more motivation to go and implement this solution, because it's not only good for the world, which they may or may not care about that much, but it's also good for their own bottom line, right? So we assess the situation, we look for solutions, we advocate for solutions, we try to implement as much as we can, and I will share a couple of ideas now. And then, very importantly, we are more than 1,000 people in 150 countries, pushing really hard, speaking in events all the time, speaking in meetings and in different positions that we have in organizations all over the world, trying to push this message. And lastly, in the part of implementation, some of the implementation that we're doing has to do, for example, with the Skills for Growth initiative, where we're training people all over the world. It's already been tens of thousands of people that have received some sort of training from us. And it's training that we do on what we consider to be the most useful and practical skills that can allow an individual to improve their economic situation in the short term, right? So you could be learning history for 5 years, or you could do whatever career degree and still not be able to make more money tomorrow. But we think that there's cases where it's very important that people have a path towards economic development. And so what we're doing is trying to compile what is the most useful, shortest intervention that we can do to help them understand what they could be doing and then go do it, right? So training people all over the world. I have personally spoken directly to more than 40,000 people from 170 countries. I am extremely honored and grateful to be able to mentor people in many different countries. And it's people that are in lots of different situations. Many times is women and girls in, for example, in Bangladesh, in Burma, in India, in Latin America, or in Africa. But sometimes it's people that is Europe, in the United States. The key message here is there are skills that are needed that the education system is not providing. We want to be as loud as we can to share the importance of learning them. First of all, that's already useful enough. But hopefully we're sharing some of the most useful things they could be doing so they can advance. So in summary is trying to identify what is the best way to solve problems. Yeah. What are the problems we should be focusing on? What are the best solutions that already exist? And how can we push them as hard as we can? And that's an example for the technology part. There are drones that plant up to 100,000 trees in one day.
Oh.
So there's lots of corporate initiatives where they go and they have the volunteer day and they plant a tree. And that is a perfect activity, team building. You actually get a few trees planted, and that's perfect. What we are suggesting is when you do that, also hire the drone. So you have 100,000 trees planted, plus the ones that you already have. You take your picture, you promote it. That's perfect, but you are more effective in what you're doing.
Yeah, that's great. Yeah, basically the way you're just doing it, it's like looking at the problem at a different angle, and that's what exactly is, and finding out the solution. So now I'd like to ask you one question. Is that basically, since creating the social impact at that level is not easy, and as like you said that you're bringing lots of people on board, and then that's how you're making the communities. But what obstacles do you face, especially like, for example, like convincing people to go for, like as you said, like drones can plant 1,000 plants in a day, but it's not easy to convince people to use drones. Like they've said, like maybe they're using their own traditional way of doing it, and these are the problems again. The problems are there and the solutions are there. You may be providing the good solutions, but sometimes it's not easy to convince people to use the solution. So I think that could be one resistance, that is to create social impact. You might have a brilliant idea and that can solve the problem, but people are not willing or not receptive. So how do you tackle this problem?
Well, thank you very much for that question. That's a fundamental one. And I would say that everything is a challenge. Everything, from having the first idea to launching whatever project, everything is actually tough. And what I would say is the main differentiator from the people that are going to be able to either achieve their goals, even if it's only business-wise, right? Achieve their financial goals or achieve their impact goals, and the people that don't, is pretty much the amount of time that you spend moving forward, right? And that's so critical, because in order to have people joining your initiative, you're going to have a very compelling message. You really have to address things that they care about, and you need to connect them to their interests. And everybody's different, and there's lots of different stakeholders, and it has nothing to do what you have to say to a government, even to a government of one country or to the other. That's different. To one ministry to the other is different. To a minister, to a secretary of state, or whoever other in the ministry, it's all going to depend so much on the people that you're talking to. So it's very difficult. It's going to be very, very difficult to make people join your initiative however you want them to join, let alone, even be paid to do it. It's going to be even more difficult, but it's possible. The key question is going to be, how long are you going to be playing the game? In my case, I'm very clear that I'm going to do this for the rest of my life. I am 34 years old. I plan to do this until I die. Maybe I die tomorrow, but maybe I live another 30 or 40 more years. Now, in my experience, a normal company, a normal project, when they are kind of successful, they start getting the level of success they want at 5, 6, 7 years. And most people give up at the first year because they're just expecting results when it's impossible, because no one knows you, because no one cares about your idea, because you have zero credibility at any possible level. The positive thing is that I've been already an entrepreneur for a very long time. So I started this project knowing that. And I have designed everything in a way that could be there forever. Right? Even the name is World Innovation Alliance. Even if there's a lot of disruption, we're always going to need an alliance of individuals and organizations that think creatively to try to solve whatever problem we have. And that idea of permanence is going to be extremely important, because I may be slow or I may be fast. There's people that are extremely effective and they start a project and they're already up and running very, very fast. But in order to reach millions of people, whatever social media channel, whatever podcast, whatever successful entrepreneur, it has always taken many years. And so the challenge that you're going to face is going to be, for example, that people don't know you, that people don't trust you, that people trust you, like you, but they don't want to commit resources, that they may want to commit resources, but they may not be able to, or they have other priorities, right? And so even if everything goes in your way, still, you're going to be competing against everything else, right? Everybody's extremely busy. Everybody has lots of problems. And aligning interests in such a way is going to be very difficult. There's a concept in startups that is product market fit, which is when you have designed the product or the app or the tool that actually hits the nail in what is going to allow you to have exponential growth, because it's exactly what a group of people really needed, and it works exactly how they would be happy using it for long periods of time, right? So product market fit is very important. And when you're building an international organization like I am, or a company that we also have, we really need to be able to find what is the right messaging, what is the right structure, what is the right way of doing what we do, and also of all of the problems that exist, which problems shall we focus on? There's lots and lots of questions that you're going to have to answer. There's lots and lots of challenges, a lot of resistance, but what is the vital solution to all of that really is the skill of resourcefulness, which is the idea of finding out a way to tackle whatever you stumble upon, because you're determined to go forward no matter what, because you know how important it is what you do. And because also you know that at some level, if not now, in the future, it is possible to live out of that, hopefully, right? And if that is the case, even if it takes a while, you don't have to give up because you have to also make money. You know that if you keep pursuing that and you keep adapting to different market needs or different problems that exist, eventually you will make it. So that is what allows you to solve all of the problems. We could do a list that is infinite of problems, challenges, and resistance that you can find. But if you look at the possible solutions, you become resourceful, you look at stuff on Google, and you bring a lot of amazing people around you to learn from them, I guarantee you can really make a huge impact in the world.
Yeah, that's actually brilliant advice, because a lot of people, as you said, that they have goals, they want to make a social impact, or they want to create an impact anyways, but they give up so soon. And that's what actually they need to just keep on doing it. Like, they need to make their target in a way that this is their goal, and they have to be consistent with it. Try to find out the ways where they can actually adopt changes. And as you said, Google it, research for it, try to be more resourceful. And that's how you can do it. And like as I was also going through your profile, and of course, so I saw that like you have like 500 frameworks, I think. That's what you provide for the solutions. Or so how does it work? These frameworks are the solutions, or you provide some trainings to this?
Well, thank you. It's funny because I have worked so hard on those models, and yet until you talk about a specific model, people don't really understand what it means, a framework or what it is. And I'll tell you very gladly, it's the first time that they asked me about it. So it's
okay.
Nice. I appreciate it. So frameworks are ways of thinking, ways of doing, types of solutions, concepts for solutions, and it can be a million things, right? And what I've been doing for all this time is looking for what are the solutions that exist, but also what are the ways and the strategies that organizations or individuals can use for them to actually improve the situation, right? So I've been writing thousands and thousands of pages. I think only for WA has been already 13,000 pages.
Wow.
Of just ideas and research and trying to understand what are all the possible ways we could be useful in the world, right? And it is important because if you don't have models, if you don't have solutions, then what you end up with is, imagine that you get to be so influential that you have a huge community and you can talk to the CEOs of the world's largest companies.
Yeah.
Yet you have nothing to tell them, right? You have no opportunity for them to make money and impact at the same time, for example. And so you're wasting that opportunity, let alone how difficult it is to get there anyway.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
So frameworks are those ways of doing. So I can share several of the frameworks. One example is the Skills for Growth initiative that I told you before. It's the concept for the education problem. It has a number of elements that make it a comprehensive strategy that can allow anyone that is doing an education project to train millions of people with the same level of effort. Instead of investing millions or billions more, you just help much more with the same amount of effort, right? So the framework that it has for the Skills for Growth initiative, it has, for example, the leverage of spaces that already exist. So instead of wasting space that is already there, for example, libraries, cafeterias, hotels, there's lots of physical space that exists everywhere, and yet it's underutilized. Most of the time, schools, for example, are empty, right? After 5 o'clock in the afternoon in Spain, at least, they're empty, right? So how can we train people if we keep thinking that we need to build more schools, but in reality, there's space available? Our model says, okay, let's leverage the space that already exists, and we're going to turn it into an improved center. That place is a place where we're going to train for free skills that are going to be useful for them. And we're just going to use people that are willing to help the community in the spaces that already exist. So that's one part. Then there's a number of strategies inside of that big strategy. For example, working with influencers, right? When you work with celebrities and influencers, you can reach many more people. And so if your content, those skills for growth, are shared through influencers, you can reach much more people. We did a project in the past that we had a total of 110 million social media interactions. We reached 130 million people only with 100 influencers, right? So if you have influencers that are doing, campaigns for fashion, well, why don't we bring them together and say, we're going to share this educational content to as many people as possible. We want you to come with us.
Yeah.
That would be a second one. So there's, let's say, 10 different layers to the Skills for Growth framework that allows anyone from the UNESCO to any company that is doing an educational program to, instead of just reach 1,000 people, reach way, way more, right? That is one of the models. We have, I think it's already like 800. There's some of the models that have to do, for example, with using properly the resources of an organization so they can maximize the impact. And I will give you just one example because I know that we don't have a lot of time. One of the ideas is the volunteer day optimization model. And the idea is, as we said before, sometimes companies use the volunteer day, they do an activity, they have fun, and it's a beautiful thing, and they help some people. That is already there, and it's great. But what we see is that for companies that have thousands, even tens of thousands of people, and those people are extremely well trained, not only are very highly educated, they are great talents, extremely intelligent people, and yet people that are experts on supply chain, engineers, people that are remarkable and capable of so much, go and spend a day doing something that seems to me, and there's numbers to corroborate that is suboptimal, which is less than what it could be. So what we can do, and this is one of the models, is we assess what are the biggest problems that our company cares about, because we happen to be in this sector, or we market this way, or this is our brand, right? So we care about women, we care about health, we care about the environment. You decide what you care about. In that particular frame, what are the problems and what are the solutions that we could work on together for one day to help as much as we can and to have the biggest positive impact we can with the resources that we have? Again, we don't have to invest money. It's just the same volunteer day. So these are the top 4 things that our company can do, let's say, for the environment in one day. So I need everybody, all of the thousands of employees, each one with their own skills, each one with their own abilities and their own expertise, to go and say, I am good at supply chain. I am going to help identify the best paths to deliver drug in, let's say, Africa, right? So whatever medicine we need to deliver, we're going to look for the best way to deliver that. And we're going to collaborate with the IT team or maybe some engineer outside of the company to look for an algorithm that helps us optimize the way we're doing this. So we're going to help way more people with the same effort in the same day, right? So instead of saying, what are a couple of fun things that we could do today to take a picture, it's what is the maximum positive impact that we could do if we used our people correctly, right? So that is another model. Again, there's 500 of them. And the importance of these models is it's a strategy. Maybe it's like a faster way to do things, a simpler way to do things, a cheaper way to do things. It may be a way of collaborating, but the key point of the models is it's accelerators for good and for growth. And we are in the business of trying to identify what are these models and trying to help organizations to use them for their own good and to help as many people as possible. That's it. Is it clear?
Yeah, I mean, this is quite clear. And this is, I think what I understood is basically you creating an ecosystem where bringing everyone together, bringing their expertise, and then that's how making the solution possible, which is in a best way you can offer to the companies where they can utilize the talents and whatever the resources you have in a best possible way to come up with the solution. So I think that is a wonderful initiative, and I think that it's going to create much more more impact in the future, as well as the technology is bringing everyone together. And I think this is a great initiative. I know we can talk a lot, I mean, about this initiative for hours, but I think we just reached to the end of the show. And thank you for enlightening us with such a great initiative. I mean, you've been doing so much work to bringing all the people together to actually solve the problems of the world. And this is, I think, this is the hour. This is the need at the hour of the hour, because the climate change, education, health. It's been like people are busy in making money, but nobody is actually thinking about solving the problem. So, and I think this initiative is much needed to be actually and to be heard and to be seen by the world. So like a lot of people can join this initiative. So I think you're doing a wonderful work to bring about the change in a positive way in this world. So thank you for doing such great work. And just tell our audience today that how they can reach out to you. It's like, what is the best way? Maybe you're very active on LinkedIn, so they can send a DM on LinkedIn, or maybe Twitter or Instagram. Any other way where they can reach out to you?
Well, first of all, thank you so much again. It's been wonderful to speak to you. There's a lot of wonderful people doing great work in social impact. We're just trying to be supportive to all of them and trying to, just whenever we have something of value, some solution, some innovation, some technology, or some person or organization, we're trying to connect those because there's a lot of people on the ground doing wonderful job and great organizations as well. And about connecting with me, LinkedIn is perfect. My name is Carlos Sentis. I should appear there. Also, you can shoot me an email. It's carlos.sentis@wia.world. And I'm also online, so you can find me probably on other social networks. But a DM on LinkedIn would be wonderful. We want to hear from you. If you want to work with us, or if you need support from whatever side, let us know. Okay.
Sure. So thank you so much for joining. And just before I end the show, what one advice would you give to our audience today to create social impact in their capacity? I know like everyone has their urge to give back to the society. So maybe like anything you would just share one advice that how they can create more, how they can be a change maker in their capacity.
Well, that's a tough one. I would say if you want to do it, then you need to make the decision of going and have the determination to pursue that for a long time. What I would say is try to build a community around you, or join communities that are working on that. Learn what the problems are and what some of the solutions are. Look at what people are doing to get inspired and see what are paths that you may explore. And when you find something that you feel confident that you can do and you want to do, imagine mentoring or educating people, or bringing doctors and you know bringing them to areas in need and help to deal with disease, whatever it is. If it's in the environment, there's different avenues. You can create a startup. You can bring people together. You can do lots of things. What I would say is think about what you care about the most, what you're more connected to. Look at what people are doing. Join communities and try to identify what is the best thing you think you could be doing on that space, and then pursue it for a very long time.
Yeah, great advice. I think that they just need to do that, whatever they think that they need to find the solution, and then they should be passionate about what they're doing. So that's a brilliant advice, and bring a community and helping them. I feel that whenever you have the passion to help other, I think that brings the impact. That's the best way to do it. So thank you so much for sharing all these knowledge with us, sharing the wisdom with us. And thanks to the all audience who have joined us today. So thank you so much.
Thank you so much, Amin. All the best to all of you.